And Justice for All is a collaboration of the three primary providers of civil legal services to disadvantaged Utahns: the Legal Aid Society of Salt Lake, the Disability Law Center, and Utah Legal Services. One of the most impressive things about And Justice for All to me has always been the efficient use of resources and funds donated with a relatively low overhead, so that donated funds go directly to the provision of services to clients. I think the collaborative effort between And Justice for All and the larger community, judges, the court system, law firms, attorneys, enhances the effect and provides a synergy that increases the effectiveness of those limited resources and what we're able to achieve. Over the years, I've had the benefit of seeing not only the individual results in specific cases that are very heartwarming and touching, but also what that level of advocacy does for the community in general, and sets a precedent that will support others in their efforts to achieve the results they're entitled to through our legal system.
Kara came to us in the summer of 2014 because of an error in a previous Social Security case that happened back in 2007. She and her family had ended up receiving tens of thousands of dollars in an alleged overpayment that the Social Security Administration was expecting them to pay back. Kara was a single mother of 5. She's trying to put herself through school at the same time of juggling all her household responsibilities. This overpayment would have crippled her permanently. It was Mount Everest for her. She would have never been able to pay it back.
I was scared. I was scared I was going to have to pay everything they'd ever paid me back. And somebody said, I think it was a professor actually, that said, there's resources out there. So I started looking online, and somebody said, oh, you haven't heard of Utah Legal Services? And I said, oh, no. Will they work with me? I'm in school, I'm making limited income. And they're like, oh yeah, they'll work with you. Just go give them a call. So I did.
Once we stepped back from the question of how hard the case was going to be and looked at it purely from the perspective of what's the mission of Utah Legal Services all about, then there was really only one right answer. Here we had a woman who was facing a hellacious overpayment. Because there was no money in this kind of litigation, there was no way that a private attorney would take the case on. And our guts were telling us that Kara's cause was just.
And in 2015, it finally was ruled that I was eligible for the benefits. I should have been given the benefits. They even upped my monthly income per child by about $150, which is a lot when you're a single mom trying to make the ends meet. So there's not a price tag I could put on this service. It's one of those commodities that is invaluable. Had it not been for Utah Legal Services, being able to finish school would have been a total dream. Without it, I would have been in even more trouble. I don't know that my children would be succeeding. I have a child in college right now. I have another child that got married and is had a baby. The oldest is having a baby in January. Everyone's thriving. Had it not been for that, and them taking that mess off of my plate and holding my hand through it, I don't think we would be thriving. And that's a whole nother generation that's been affected by this.
We were really in a strained marriage, strained relationship, a lot of fighting, always fighting, screaming. He loved to say, get the F out of here if you're not happy. Just things like that where it was just okay, what am I doing, But I think as most women, we spend a lot of time trying to figure out, are we really capable of doing this? Are we really ready to leave?
Her husband began to manipulate her a little bit, began to kind of control where she went, what she did. And then that, of course, escalated to more stalking behavior, threatening behavior. And then, of course, that escalated to the actual physical violence. And that's exactly what happened to Anna.
He just grabbed my hand and starts trying to take my phone out of my hands. He's, we're wrestling. I'm trying very hard to keep it in my hand. It's no, you can't have this. You can't have my phone. It escalated to the point where our voices got very loud. Our kids came upstairs. So, now the kids are seeing us, and he's trying to get the phone out of my hand still, and I just remember my kids are like, Mom, why are you trying to take Mommy's phone?
Her children actually saw their dad physically assault their mom,
I was so bruised up. I had scratches and cuts and everything on my hand.
as well as abuse her verbally and emotionally.
You'll never have your cell phone. He changed all my email passwords, my Facebook password, got in, was contacting friends of mine, like, Anna's a whore, she's been lying, and like, just threats and threats and threats and threats, and I just didn't even know what to do. I'm like, he's cut me off financially, I've got the kids full time. I didn't know what I was gonna do.
So Anna's case, I think, really highlights the difficulty that victims of domestic violence have when they come in to file these orders of protection. Originally, she had tried to do this on her own, and I think soon discovered just how complex these cases are, as well as she was in a lot of emotional distress at the time, and so you don't think clearly. We were able to get Anna some orders of protection in place, as well as temporary possession of her home, which was very important, and temporary custody of her minor children. And then she was able to qualify for our Bridge the Gap program, and so we could represent her in our subsequent divorce action.
I'm so much happier on my own. I'm able to be who I needed to be for my children. I am really grateful to Legal Aid and the people who work there and their commitment to helping the people who need the services.
Scott had been working at Papa John's folding boxes and making boxes for the pizza restaurant. And he had been doing that for about 5 months, was very successful at it. The manager liked him. He had a job coach, was getting very good reviews. And then a regional manager came by and said that job coaches are not permitted in the facility, and they dismissed Scott from his job.
We thought in this day and age that people were aware of the Americans with Disability Act that would provide for reasonable accommodations. And I thought that having a job coach for Scott was a reasonable accommodation, especially since the company didn't have to pay for the job coach.
Scott was hurt when he couldn't work at the pizza place. He liked going to work. He likes being part of a team of employees. He likes earning the paycheck.
We needed the Disability Law Center to help us because when I contacted Human Resources in Alabama, they were unwilling to change their minds. They would not give me the name of their attorney so I could contact their attorney to discuss this misunderstanding that I thought had occurred. And so I thought, well, it sounds like the only way this is going to get resolved is an attorney versus an attorney.
They dragged the case on for over 4 years, and without some legal support and without somebody saying, yes, you are in the right, we would have simply been worn out and given up on the case.
Papa John's made the calculation that there wouldn't be enough kind of money in a case like that for anybody to take it further. But because we're a nonprofit, we're able to take cases based on principle, cases that are the right case to take, cases that are the right thing to do, and we don't have to worry about, how much money is in this. That's something that's unique to the Disability Law Center and to other nonprofit legal organizations.
Well, after 4.5 years or so, we finally got together meeting with them and with a mediator, and they did apologize to Scott. They have agreed to put together a program to encourage recruitment of persons with disabilities, which we see as the biggest win in the case.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you make $750 an hour or $750,000 a year. Your work is valuable and you're important. You have a legal right to work with the support that you need. And I think that's what the perseverance of Scott and his parents really demonstrated.
We are so very grateful to the Disability Law Center for all that they have done for Scott and for others. They fought as hard as they could to make this happen.
They stuck up with us for 4 years just because it was the right thing to do.